welcome back to HERside Conversations. I'm Marketia, and today we're pouring into a different kind of love. The kind that doesn't always get the spotlight, but absolutely deserves it. Sisterhood. I do have with me a very special guest today. Her name is Iona, and she's a hairstylist of 25 years. Plus, she's a healthcare worker. How are you?
I'm well, and you?
I'm great. Thank you for coming on here. I appreciate you.
I am honored, excited actually to get the conversation going.
Yeah. So this one, guys, we're going to be talking about sisterhood and the sacredness of it. Basically, the power of female friendships. And I don't know about you, but I know that I value my girls all the time. Um, and so I just want to go ahead and kind of dig deep on this because sometimes people don't know how to get into new friendships as they are adulting or as they're growing or let go of friendships, things like that. So I'll get straight into the first talking point, and that's going to be why female friendships are essential for healing. I will tell you this, some seasons are too heavy to carry alone, and that's where sisterhood saves us. The friends who sit in silence with you, who pray over you, who say, get up when you've almost lost your way, that kind of love heals in ways romance can't. So, can you give me a little bit on that? Why are female friendships essential for healing?
I'm just gonna start by saying the female friendships that I've had, gained, cultivated over the last year have been like my lifeline. The reason I say they're important is because we can rely on each other like females. We all have the same emotional reserve, so to speak. And it's just important that you have those people to rely on and that they're there for you. So, me personally, my girls have been there for me through conversations when I want to talk about how life is going, those hard, rough times. So they have been critical through my healing journey, me personally.
I think I'm going to piggyback off that and kind of go into some of my best friends, right? It wasn't easy when I had to, I don't want to say let go, but step away from one for so many reasons, but it was unhealthy, the things that started to happen. And I knew that I had to heal from that because that was my homie, that was my dog. But like you said, the more healthy ones that I have cultivated since last December up until now, I feel like I'm in a good spot. It's a mixture. I feel like I've gained some friends. We've known each other from TikTok since last December. We kind of got into somebody's live over there, and it was just a good time. And so from that TikTok area, I have really cultivated several different relationships, like you said, that has carried me through a journey that kind of started in November up until this point. And it was women maybe that didn't come out of that same live, but maybe another live, who knew my story, who needed to for me to elaborate on my story. But I feel like they were there, like 10 toes down. They didn't ask any questions. Um, they didn't, shame me for the things that I had done or had not done or whatever the case was. I don't want to dig too deep on that because that's a totally different conversation for another day. But yeah, but they literally, like you said, they carried me through a lot. Now, when I'm talking about my best friend, there is not enough words. And Nichelle, I hope you're listening, but there is not enough words that I have to say and give to you in this segment that shows the amount of appreciation, the amount of love, the amount of respect that I have for her, right? I feel like some days I'm just dumping everything on her. And I know how
Yes.
that feels. Yeah. When people are dumping something on me and then I already have life and it's, I'm working, I'm doing so many things. I'm like, gosh, like, not that I don't want that on my plate, but I know how that can feel. You know what I'm saying? And so I feel like sometimes I just dump all of my stuff on her. And baby, she carries that well. She didn't
Yeah.
carry me through some things. She knows when it's time to go take a vacation, when we need to go relax. She knows when it's time to hit the happy hour. She knows just about everything. And I guess for me, she can tell by my vibe, my emotions, my mood, everything like that. So I super appreciate you, girl, if you listening out there. I just feel like friendships overall are essential to healing. That's what helps us to grow without
I
being
agree.
judged. Yeah.
You do. It's just having that safe space because I do the same thing. Like when I feel like I'm dumping on my friends, and you have those homegirls where you just call and you're like, "Hey, what's going on with you?" They say something, you like, "Oh," and then you just start telling them everything that. And sometimes you have to pull back, like, "My bad, girl. How was your day? What you had
Right.
going on?" But when you have those solid friendships, they're not looking at you like, "What's Iona calling for right now?" They just kind of know.
Yeah.
Sometimes I get straight into it, so to speak. But
Yeah,
yes, we
you just
we
pushed
we
all
love
my
you.
buttons because I swear I'm so guilty of doing that. I'm like, hey girl, what you doing? I'm just calling and boom. You would
Yes.
believe what happened to me today from work straight on to relationship. And they just be so patient with me and just listening. So anybody that I've
Yes.
ever done that to, I don't want to call everybody's name out. I'm so sorry, but I thank you so much for allowing, like you said, that safe space for me.
I literally wrote down like names as we were discussing. I'm like, oh my God, look, these are all the people. One, two, three, seven people that I just named that I know I can call right now. I will have an ear, a shoulder, a virtual hug, whatever it is I need at the moment. So
Yes,
yes, we love our girlfriends. We love you. Shout out, y'all all know who you are. There's so many of you
absolutely.
to name.
I would not trade these ladies in for the world, and they know that. What I do want to jump into is the difference between soul sisters and social friends. I say that
Mm,
because not every friend is your safe space, as we just said. So let's talk about the difference between friends who clap loud and stay long versus the ones who just like click the like on the photo, but they never check in. Because I think that the one friendship that I had cultivated from probably middle school straight through adulthood. It was a good one. I'm not gonna lie. It was a really good one. But I think that she became the type of friend as such. Like she never checked in on me or poured into me. I was always doing the pouring. When she needed an ear to listen. I was always the person like, oh yeah, now you should do this, now you should do that. But I don't think that she was pouring into me, and I can be very transparent because this is the space that I've cultivated. She didn't show up for me in my biggest moment. In my biggest moment,
mm.
she didn't show up. I got awarded this award probably about 2 years ago. And from that, she asked to have a seat at my table, literally. Like, girl, I would love to go to this. I would love to do that. And from that, she just never showed up. Cocktail hour
Oh wow.
happened. Yeah, cocktail hour happened, and I'm looking around. I'm like, where is she at? I call her. She didn't answer. And then finally, when I got her on the phone, it was probably like T minus, man, 20 minutes before dinner started because they was pretty formal. Dinner started. Then I had a speech to give, and they were awarding me. I'm like, hey, girl, like, are you running late? Like, what's going on? And she literally was like, oh, what do you got going today? What? Hold on. I know you're not gonna play on my top like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, what do I got going today? We only been talking about this. I only been like shouting this to you for days, months now. It seems like I couldn't believe that I got this award and you just didn't show up. It was so casual for her to say, "Oh yeah, I
To
forgot.
just
I didn't know it was."
dismiss it.
Dismiss it. I didn't know it was today. I'm sorry about that. And I was like, okay, like you still got time to jump in. Mind you, this wasn't an award ceremony that was in my city. It was actually in her city. So I was the
Oh
one who
wow.
traveled to her city. Like you like 10 minutes, 15 minutes tops away from this event. Like you couldn't have
That is
thrown
even more
something on.
insulting.
Yes. And I'm like, you could have thrown something on to come and see me, to support me. But then here it is, your daughter is graduating the next month, and you had no problems calling me and saying, oh, I didn't see that you had an RSVP. Are you going to show up for
Mm.
this or not? I don't think that
That's
I was
definitely a
wrong.
one-sided friendship.
I'm telling you. And I was like, that's when I think I started to realize where I needed to place a lot of the values on my friendship. Like this wasn't the one that I needed to do that. We've been friends for so many years, but for you to just that was insulting to me that you didn't come to my stuff, but then you literally invited me or said, "Oh, I didn't see that you RSVP'd to my daughter's graduation stuff. Like, are you still coming? What do you want? You want chicken? You want beef? What do you want? Huh? girl, I'm not gonna show up. I don't want to tear our friendship down and burn the bridge down to the ground because I'm not that type of person. But at the same time, I'm gonna just use silence as a mechanism to just bypass this, right? I haven't talked to her since that very day, but it was very one-sided. There was no pouring into me. There was no support. There was no anything like that. It was always just about her. That's it.
I was just going to say, so I'm 42 now and recently divorced. This is kind of, I'm going to go off gear a little bit.
Yeah,
So
go ahead.
I'm new back when it comes to socializing with other women, because when you are a married woman, you tend to socialize with other married couples, you know. So
Okay.
now I am kind of going backwards and I'm socializing with more single women. I haven't found anyone that I'll say that I made a soul connection with outside of friends I've had in my marriage. So the difference for me is those soul relationships, those are the people, like when I said, you can dump heavy on, you can be
Yep.
extremely vulnerable, you can talk about your fears, anticipation, like, you know, you could just kind of talk about everything, especially when it comes to dating. You can talk to
Yeah,
those
it's
people
that
you have that soul
non-judgmental
connection
space.
with. Exactly. Now, me, what I'm doing now is I am gaining more social acquaintances or social girlfriends, which they're kind of like in a, I'll say in a trial period right now. We go hang out. I want to see how you hang out. I want to see the type of things you're into because I don't know if I can let you into my world, so to speak. I am giving you my authentic self. However, it's just not like, hey, here's everything on the table. Hey, here's about my love life. Here's my sex life. Here's this. I'm
Yep.
just kind of filling them out. So that's kind of where those differences come from. So the people that we kind of talked about in the opening of the segment, those, what I would say, those are my soul girlfriends. Those are my
Yes.
soul sisters. That's what I kind of call them. People now that I'm meeting, they're social acquaintances unless they put themselves in another category, which will only come in time.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of a new experience for me. You know what I mean? Like I've had these really close, intimate relationships, and then now I'm kind of out in the world again. So when I meet someone that's single and maybe have a similar family composition as myself, and it's like, oh, okay, hey, what are you into? It's like you learning yourself and a group of people all over again.
Yes. Yep. And I think for me, as far I agree with you 100% with the soul sisters. That's our dumping. That's our safe space. But the social friends, I just recently got a lot more reluctant to I guess, keep going or stepping into that space and trying to cultivate new friendships because of a situation that that happened just at the tail end of last year, beginning of this year, where I met some women online and I thought that they were just that. Like when I tell you I talk to these women every single day, day in, day out. I mean, like you said, I done my fillers, so I thought. Um, to fill everybody out to see, and then exactly what you just said. When it came down to me being like, okay, so this is my one dump, I'll try this. It was a pretty private dump. And as soon as I done that,
Oh,
I mean, the drama exploded. And I was like, what the heck? I just
mm.
thought that these were women who were going to be grown, one, but also happy for me, two. And I didn't get that at all. So I think that at this time, I'm more reserved and reluctant with the social friends that I meet. I think that I'm really reluctant to get into new friendships. Like I'm probably like, if it ain't broke, I ain't trying to fix it right now. Like,
Right.
I just it's that just blew me. It took me by storm. And that just goes to show that I didn't know, or I don't feel like I was connected enough to those women to have known that they would ever do that to me. I
So
just
let me ask a question.
Yeah.
Did you, because I do a lot of reflecting and that's important. Did you think at some point that the reason that you did that, that you didn't trust yourself and you went and you just assumed that this was one of those relationships that you can trust and that you were not healed enough? Because sometimes I notice when I go to vent about certain things, that is me, my inner child, like just crying out for someone to hear me, i.e., which means, you're just healing out loud when you do that.
Yeah.
So do you feel like, if you were fast forward 8 months from now or so when you were in a more solid space emotionally, would you have
Hmm.
done that same thing?
Absolutely not. I don't think that I would have done that at all if I had a known, right? And if I don't get the precursor to even know, do I think that I would have done it? I feel like I'm a person who I want to backtrack, was a person who overshared, tend to overshare a lot, because I'm very transparent. I don't know that there are many private things or many things in my life that is just off limits. I feel like
Mhm.
me sharing some of the things that I go through or sharing things may help somebody else, right? So I guess I'm pretty green in that area, or was green in that area. So I didn't think that they would just take off and go and spread all kind of lies and gossip and rumors, and it just got nasty. But if I had have known what I already know today, absolutely, my answer would be no. No, I wouldn't have shared that.
We had to go through that because it takes a lot. I know, and I can speak for most people. I can know just from the conversations we've had online. You're a pretty put together person, so there had to be a lot. You had to feel like it was some type of connection there for you to do that.
Yeah,
I'm sorry you had to go through that because it's hurtful. Like especially as you're an adult, because I think it's even way worse than being like a teenager in high school when your friends betraying you, especially when you're grown, because
yeah.
more.
And
You expect
I
so
guess
much
from that,
more.
and people always ask me a question. They'll say, "Hey, well, what were you expecting from a group of women that you met online?" I don't know initially what I was expecting, but by the time I talked to you in the morning and then in the afternoon, and then we're texting and laughing all day, I just thought that we were in a pretty good space. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
I never thought one way or another that they would go all off and do exactly what they done. And of course, it was not just like one or two; it was a big group of women. You know what I'm saying? We just kind of
Wow.
connected, and so there's like 5 or 6 different women, including myself. So it's crazy that they would take the time to even to do that. And I do think that you're absolutely correct. Betrayal and things like that in adulthood, I feel like it already hits hard enough. I already got enough stuff to deal with in my day to day life, taking care of home, taking care of my businesses, taking care of my children, whatever the case is. But to add that on top of everything that I'm going through, that's stressful.
That's what I'm saying. Our female relationships are that's supposed to be the safe space. Like, we keep
Exactly.
mentioning. That's the only time where you're like, girl, you can sit around your friends with no makeup, get drunk, just
Yes.
like go on and on and on. And it's like what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. You know what I mean? It should
Correct.
be those type of relationships.
That's such a good analogy, yes, because that's exactly what I mean. That's what I thought as our friendship grew. I really thought that that was what was happening. Like what I tell you is just going to stay right here in our inner circle, and it wasn't even terrible things. It was just
Right.
personal,
It shouldn't even
personal things.
matter, but yeah,
Yeah, it was just
exactly.
personal things that I didn't think that they would blow out of proportion. But yeah, so I'm super reluctant with the social friend thing for now, just because of that situation, and that's so unfortunate. I hate that for me, but
Yeah.
so is life. You know what I mean?
It is. And
Um,
you'll learn because you got to just look into your intuition even more. That's just a sign letting you know, hey, like, don't be so open with things. But you do know people you can be open with. You know why? Because they reciprocate. People
that's
tell
right.
you things that are equally as vulnerable. And then that's when you're like, oh, that's my girl. I could talk to her about anything because she
Exactly.
told me about the time when blah, blah, blah. So, yeah,
Yep. And
we
that
got to
is
just
what I learned.
wait. Exactly. Because sometimes what I've learned is I wait for people to open up to me first. Because naturally, that's kind of one of my gifts. I mean, strangers open up to me, people who I meet, they open up to me. But usually I'm like, oh, yeah, me too. So now I've learned to be a little more quieter in my actions and in my words. So then people, once they start to open up and I feel comfortable with them, I give you something. So that way it's almost like a social exchange.
Yes, and I get that. And I guess for me, that is a good reminder, like what you just said, a good reminder to keep forefront, going into any new space, going into any new friendship. Because like I said again, blown. I'm still blown to this day because I just couldn't believe that. But I do want to touch on, and I've just shared a little bit about when friendships fall apart. That was
How do
my
you?
one. That was my one little dig, my one little story that I have, because I don't really give up my friendships. You know what I'm saying? Like once you my girl, you my girl. And I feel like I'm really good at.
Likewise.
Yeah, I'm really good at. I don't want to, for lack of better words, like maintaining my friendship with people. You know, keeping up. As I said before, when you're doing those little check-ins and stuff like that, I haven't heard from you. I may not talk to you every day, but when I do check in, that's a good time for us to unpack and unload. Because I might not have
That's
talked to
right.
some friends in, a week or a month or something like that. So I'm really good at maintenance and just checking in every now and then and just making sure they don't need nothing. How's life going? What's happening? But the one that I just had that I shared there, that was the one where I'm not saying that I don't miss some of the things that we done as friends or the spaces that we had, but it's one that I could deal without, knowing that everything is not reciprocal and it's
Mm-hmm.
only about self. You know what I mean? So sometimes I'll just say this, sometimes it's not about a man who breaks your heart. It could be your homegirl.
Yep.
So that was one of them that it was very hard to step back from that. Because again, like we have been rocking since like middle school, straight on up, through college. We went to the same college and everything like that. So that was a very long and invested friendship, and it just didn't go the way that I expected it to. So
Let me just end it closing by just saying it doesn't mean that that person won't come back into your life. I just think sometimes because I had a lot of good friends that I grew up with, like middle school and into our 20s, 30s, after we started having children and things like that. We don't talk as much. It's still some love there, but I always have faith that people mature in time and they go through life experiences, and maybe it's going to take for her to experience what she did for you to you, and then come back to realization on it, like, wow, that wasn't a cool thing that I did. And then sometimes,
yeah,
maybe in your 40s, 50s, 60s, y'all might circle back and become even tighter than ever because she learned through experience how it feels to be betrayed by a friend, or feel like, this girl ain't got my back the way I have hers. So, don't give up
right.
all hope. I'm very optimistic. But right now, that's
Yeah.
just not the time, not the season in the space.
Exactly. And I think that too. Let's talk about when sisterhoods go silent or turn sour, and then how to grieve a friendship or breakup. What do you do when that happens?
So I'll say it depends on the dynamic of the relationship. If it was somebody I leaned on heavy, I mean, that's going to hurt because then you have to turn inwards. And I've been there where your journal now becomes your best friend because you don't have that person where you're able to verbalize it with. And
Right.
grieving female relationships, I think it forces you to turn back into yourself and heal.
Yep.
You have to because I mean, it sounds cliche. We were born alone. We die alone. We do a
Hmm.
lot of things alone. And just enjoying that intimacy of being alone is actually a blessing sometimes.
I
And
think so
usually
too.
those friends that you grieve and get rid of, they are the ones who you carry so much heavy energy for.
That's right.
The relationship is typically one-sided because you realize at some point and realize your self-worth, and then you're like, I gotta let this go. It's not good for me.
Yep. 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 I agree with that stuff there. And I want to touch on journals with that, and I feel like what is not it was I feel like it blew up, but then I don't think it got the recognition or the light that it deserved. Was like shadow work. A lot of people are like,
Mm.
oh, let me just do that for myself or just for a relationship. But I feel like you could kind of break down, like, if you're the problem, you know what I'm saying? Like, am I the issue? Is this always happening, or is it something that needs to obviously stay on somebody else's plate, right? That makes it a little bit easier for me when I can break things down like that. And like, okay, this was definitely not a me thing. This was a them thing. And I got to leave that over there for them to figure it out, because it's going to take all my energy. I'm going to invest all my time, all my energy trying to run a circle. and figure out, was I wrong? Was, I'm not going to do that. And that's what I figured out in that situation, that I don't have time for that. You know what I mean? As I've matured and grown so much, I just feel like you should be putting in as much energy to fixing something as I am. And if you're not willing to do that, why am I wasting so much of my time to do that?
I just feel like it shouldn't even take energy. True friendships and girlfriend, soul relationships, all that, they are wholesome and effortless. Yeah, it's really shouldn't be anything we're going back and forth, bickering, arguing, disagreement. Really, it's not. If we have a mutual respect for each other, hey, my homegirl don't like when you call her after 8 p.m. She get an
Hmm.
attitude. Like just the little small things. So just don't do those things or be.
As I'm saying that, and I'm just thinking quickly, maybe me and her lacked boundaries in our friendship, right?
That's what it
I
sounds
think
like.
we lacked those boundaries because now that you just said that, it's just like, you shouldn't even have to come to me and invite me out to a social hour, to have a cocktail or two, and then you're like, "Hey, are we good? Are we good?
Yeah,
Are we straight?"
that weird type behavior. I
That's
don't like that.
exactly like, like if you got to invite me to a space, and it's funny because it's almost like that dumping thing. Like, "Hey, girl, you want to come on to eat? You want to go have a drink? You want to?" And then when I get there, you like, "Are we good? What?"
Yeah, I don't like that because that's like taking my temperature, and that is a
Yeah,
pet peeve of mine. And when I feel like people are doing that to me in my social relationships that I'm developing, that's kind of a red flag to me that you're not solid, you don't have boundaries, and you may not be loyal. Because why do you feel like, hey, we might not be on good terms? Why? My life is
exactly.
fine. Just because I didn't answer or was unavailable or decided I didn't want to hang out. So,
Yeah.
those are the things you have to pay attention to.
I think so too. And I think that that situation for me was a very big eye opener, when it came to my friendships or the kind of friendships that I would like to cultivate going forward. It's just not something that I have the energy, time, or space. I'm not even going to hold a space for a person like that no more. I cannot. You know what I
You
mean?
can't. Yep. You cannot. Because they
Not,
won't help you grow and live your best life. And
they will not.
you need those friends that are going to cheer you on. That is so important.
Exactly. I need the
Perfect
friends that are my
example of that.
champions. Exactly.
Perfect example of this. So, one of my soul sisters, I met her about 15 years ago now. She was my neighbor. Shout out Shahia. Girl, I'm talking about you. So, today is her birthday, right? And I sent her a virtual card on one of those apps, right? So,
Uh-huh.
in the virtual card, it's like you click it, it opens up the card, the envelope, the message, and I sent her a gift card along with that. So, I sent the SMS. I accidentally sent it to her old telephone number. So I like copied and pasted and sent to her new telephone number. When I
Uh-huh.
sent the message, maybe 10, 15 minutes later, she hearted the message, right? So when I called her, maybe 2, 3 hours later, so funny. 2, 3 hours later, I was like, "Hey, did you get the gift card? Because I accidentally sent it to the wrong thing." She's like, "No, I didn't get it." And I was like, "But you hearted the message." So I said, "Let me see what you see." So she shared her screen, and the card didn't even load, right? So you know how when a page is loading, it has whatever that is, like
Uh-huh.
whatever icon it may show when it's loading. So all the icon was like hearts. It was like trying to build and open. And I said, "Oh my God," I said, "You're such a beautiful, loyal friend that you just liked it and you thought that this was the birthday gift." I thought that was the most beautiful thing. And I was like, "Girl, that
Yes.
wasn't even a card." And she was like, "I saw it. I thought it was nice. Like, it's the thought that counts." So that made me love her even more because I was like, look at
Yes.
that, like she didn't even see it. So it's like the little things like that when people show gratitude and appreciation for just, hey, my homegirl thought about me. So I just thought that that was a perfect example. I was like, and I told her, I said, "See, that's what I'm talking about. That is a loyal friendship. You just liked a web page because it just looked." She said, "I saw like a heart." I said, "It wasn't even loading. It was like a Safari issue."
Right.
So we got it straight. Long story short, she tapped into another browser and it was all good. But I thought that was funny. And that happened about, I want to say like 5 hours ago. So that's I'm glad that I was able to share that story as an example
Yes.
of how your friends got your back no matter what.
No matter what. She said, you hearted something that was at my heart set, girl. Yes. Now, I do want to talk about how to cultivate grown woman friendships. So, as adults, it's harder to make real friends, as we know, than it was 10 or 20 years ago, right? So, how do we create those
Child,
connections? I think that being intentional, I'm big on that. Being vulnerable when you have to, when you feel somebody out, being vulnerable, being consistent as well in trying to cultivate these new friendships. How about you? What do you think on that?
I agree. Definitely being consistent. Boundaries. Okay, so if I had to put it in order, I would say boundaries number one, because we are all grown adults, and I know that sometimes it is like, hey, I didn't answer the phone because I was busy. We just need to understand that
Yeah.
what's understood should never be explained. Vulnerability, like we discussed, consistency. Like if we're saying, hey, we're gonna get together, we're gonna meet, or I'll call you back, girl, we're gonna talk about this, do that. Because if not, I am holding space, like you mentioned before, for someone that's not holding space back or reciprocating. So that's what's important to me. I would say would be my top three. How do we maintain those friendships? We maintain
I was
them
just
by
about to say
pouring
that.
into them the being
Yep.
extremely thoughtful. I'm a big gratitude person. So like my friends know, I'll tell you, girls, thank you so much. I appreciate you so much. Thank you for listening. Thank you for riding with me. Thank you for shopping with me. Thank you for just
Hmm.
understanding me. So, I think that that's important because sometimes you can, I'm not going to say train, but it's like it becomes a learned behavior. When people see how you love and your female friends see how you treat them, if they love you, even if they may not know how to love you back, they learn by the way you treat them. So
Oh,
sometimes we have
yeah.
to
Okay.
teach people to treat us as well.
Okay. Okay. I like all of that. For me, I just want to go into like how some of my circles were built. A lot of them, again, were built from maybe like grade school on. I do have friends that I've lost connection with or had, like you said, like a falling out type situation. And then, like you said, we circle back, 10 or 20 years later, 10 years later. And it's like we never left. You know what I'm saying? And I've had some friendships like that. Um, and so I think that a lot of my friendships are built from way before. Again, I'll say that cultivating new friendships, that's a little bit harder. I do think that I keep people at arm's length nowadays, but those things that I did say, being intentional, vulnerable, and being consistent, that's the things that I would like from somebody that I'm building a good girlfriend relationship with. Um, but how do we keep those spaces for me? How do I keep those spaces solid? For me, and I hate to say what I'm finna say, but vulnerability, because I just recently had to step back. I had to scale it back some. So vulnerability is how I think that I keep it solid. And like keeping my word. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
I'm really big on that. Like keep your word. Like if you say you finna come kick it on Friday, I know that things happen and life happens. But I feel like life happens. If I told my friend that we were going out this coming weekend, by Wednesday I know what's going on. Unless it's an emergency, I know to tell you, hey, I can't make it. Can we reschedule? You know what I'm saying? Because
Right.
maybe somebody needed you, and you didn't need them. You know what I'm saying? But they needed you, and so it's big. I'm big about that. You know what I'm saying? Showing up for people. What does your tribe sound like? Those soul sisters. What do they sound like when they're rooting you on? I'll give you some of mine really quick. And a lot of the first one that I'm about to say is a lot of times some people tend to just go with the flow. We do have those friends that's just like, uh-huh, yep, okay. But when I'm healing and on a healing journey, like you're not crazy. That's what my tribe is sounding like. Like, girl, this if it's me, they gonna call me out. But if it's not me, like, girl, you are not crazy. You are not going crazy. I got you. Again, I'm big on that, like having somebody's back. I got you. About 4 or 5 episodes ago, Lashana was saying, like, go buy the damn shoes. If you need those Louboutins, go buy them. You know what I'm saying? Because your bills is always gonna come no matter what. So, and like she was saying, you need friends that are gonna tell you that. Go and do this. So go take a nap. Go buy the damn shoes. Go do what you need to do for self care, whatever that is, right? And then I love, 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 love when I can hear my tribe around me saying like, "You don't have to explain. They don't
Right.
judge." You know what I'm saying? Like, don't explain nothing to me. You don't need to explain yourself.
And with my tribe, what they're gonna say is, I'm so proud of you. Oh my God, you're amazing. You got this. And I don't want to come off as if I need that type of praise or anything like that, but hearing it from people who I think are equally as amazing, that is like a
Yeah.
pat on the back. So yeah,
Yes.
they're like, "Hey girl, you got this. You are so good." Yes, treat yourself just like you said. Go outside because that's what they tell me because like I switch locations. So I am
Hmm.
completely away from my people. So that's why these topics hit so hard with me because I rely on my friends more virtually than anything. I don't
Yeah.
have anyone in arm's reach from my entire life to going somewhere where I am literally a transplant. So every person I encounter and I decide to put you in my space, you start at that social circle. I don't know your mother, your grandma, where you grew up. I knew nothing about you. So it is like starting over anytime I have some type of exchange with someone of the opposite sex on, from a
Okay.
platonic
Yeah.
standpoint.
Yep.
So hearing those things from my friends on FaceTime or getting the text message is so heartfelt. It means more than anything to me because they are
That is.
cheering me on. You know what I'm saying? That is so important to me.
Yes, I think so too. And like I said, like when my tribe do that, like I'd be like, pump me up, hype me up, girl. Like, okay, like let's get this done. But one of the last things that I want to speak on, so to speak, almost last things, is I kind of touched on it as we were opening, but speaking life over each other and prayer time. I think that a lot of times people miss it because they are, I don't want to say like they're embarrassed, right? But you have to be able to tap into your more spiritual side, and maybe some people lack that and they don't. It looks different for everybody, you know. I might be a prayer warrior and you might be like, yo, I'm going through this, girl. I'm about to pray us both out of this closet, okay? I'm about to get down to get down. But some people are not like that. Do you have friends that can speak life into you and speak life over you?
I do, and most of us are. Well, I'm going to say all of them. The close friends that I have, we are connected on a spiritual level. Some more deeper than others. Like some people, one of my friends, like we actually have similar dreams and manifest things together. That is our superpower.
Yeah.
So yes, those are the people that say, "Hey, like literally, this is what I need to happen. I need you to pray over me." I mean, and then they all come from different religious backgrounds. That's what makes it interesting as well.
That's
You know what
dope.
I'm saying? I have
Yeah, that's kind of
yeah,
dope.
exactly. So, prayer is going to look so different according to who it's coming from. A prayer may be someone
Yeah.
putting their feet in the ocean for me. A prayer may be literally someone getting on their knees. A prayer may be one of my friends writing something down. A prayer may be someone pulling tarot cards. So it's going to come from
Yep.
so many different angles and hit so many different senses. So like I'm just fortunate. I'm blessed and I pray that everyone in my situation or every woman in my age bracket they find that type of circle and tribe that takes care of them because it's nothing like it. I wouldn't trade them in for the world.
Yes, I don't think so. I think my last little fun segment here that I wanted to do, we kind of did this early on, but I'm just going to circle back and just ask if you want to do this. So it's called Her Sister Shoutouts. So is there any person, any woman out there that you're in your inner tribe, in your tribe period, who's been a rock in your life and you want to tell us why she matters and how her friendship has carried you through? I did mine already, and you kind of did one too. But is there any others
That
that you
is
want to
that
do?
is difficult. I
Yeah,
told you it's more than one.
yeah.
So
Yep.
I'm just gonna make it brief, right? I'm a name drop on all of them, and I wrote this down
Okay.
just to be prepared anyway. Just real brief, because I just can't do one. Is that the rule? It has to be one.
No, nope, it
Okay.
doesn't. Go ahead and gather your tribe up. Do it.
All right, so listen, I definitely want to give special shout outs to these ladies. And if it's anyone else, right, that I know we vibe with, I know you love me, I love you, that I did not mention you at this moment, you know it's probably because I do 50 million things. But I definitely want to give special consideration out to these following ladies. And I'm going to say everybody falls in the same category. And here's the thing, some of them don't even know each other. Like, they have not even met or been in the same social circle. But Sharon, Shahia, Mudda, Medina, Tammy, Raina, and everyone else who I forgot to mention, I love you all. And oh, Patrice, my sister, how could I forget? My
Yep.
cousins, everybody, I really appreciate you all. We've been through so much. I'm always there for you. You all are my rock. I hope I am your rock the same way. And we going to the top, ladies. Just keep going.
Perfect. Now, her side, I want to encourage you all to do the same thing on this week is to call a friend or text a friend and just tell them the stuff that we just done here, why they matter, why they're in your tribe. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes I feel like we don't hear that enough, and it feels good to hear it, no matter what. She went a little bit in a different lane because she had a friend that just had a birthday, but also I think that it is appropriate to say, even if you want to drop a gift on your girlfriend or something like that, it is super appropriate. And trust me, just coming from being my homegirl's girlfriend, is appreciated, just having those spontaneity moments and all of that type of stuff. So in closing, y'all, let me tell you this: romantic love might make headlines, but sisterhood holds our hearts. To every woman listening, build your tribe, honor your circle, and never underestimate the woman who wiped your tears, fixes your crown, and call you back to life. So on her side, this is your reminder. Healing happens here together. I'll see you guys next week.
My girlfriend.